Yesterday, Hillary Clinton had her day in court where she was there to discuss her relationship and her husband Bill Clinton's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Throughout that time, she denied a very strong relationship, did not remember having met certain people, and honestly, I heard a lot of lies. We're going to tune into a handful of video footage that we have from these events and kind of determine our thoughts and our conclusions together.
Bill Clinton spent an awful lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein, bombed around the world on his private plane, but then told us he had no idea that Jeffrey Epstein was just had no idea. Well, that wasn't very plausible, but now a new report indicates their relationship was even closer than anyone knew before. Chief breaking news correspondent Trace Gallagher has all the details for us tonight. Hey, Trace.
Hey, Tucker. Jeffrey Epstein's 10,000-acre New Mexico ranch has been compared to the HBO series Westworld because it has an elaborate cowboy-themed village. It's also been dubbed Baby-Making Ranch because the New York Times reported that Epstein once said he wanted to simultaneously impregnate 20 girls at the ranch to improve the human race.
Yeah, and this is because he had such high thoughts of himself as a human race. He wanted to spread his seed and improve the human race because of how amazing he was.
Former President Bill Clinton has said repeatedly the only Epstein property he ever stayed in was his New York City townhome. But a security expert brought in to set up surveillance systems at the ranch tells the Daily Mail that Bill Clinton frequently visited there and that Hillary and Chelsea Clinton also visited on a number of occasions.
Now, I saw this video as well, and it was essentially someone that worked on the island on the Epstein properties, and he was saying that he had seen Bill Clinton there many times. You saw him sitting on the front porch of the house as well. So clearly, if we believe that testimony from that security worker, they were there.
But the security guy says the former first family stayed at a guest house in the cowboy village, not the main house. The security expert also reportedly says the former president was Epstein's closest, quote, celebrity mate. And Virginia Roberts, the woman who claims Prince Andrew had sex with her multiple times while she was 17, also says she saw Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's private island for a dinner held in Clinton's honor. Clinton and his spokesperson deny that, though Bill Clinton says he only flew on Epstein's private plane 4 times, even though flight logs show that he took 26 flights on the so-called Lolita Express.
Okay, so interesting. The stories aren't meeting up. Obviously, someone here is lying, but today's video is not just about the accusations against Bill Clinton, but how Hillary Clinton responded to all of that as she had that day in court yesterday, and that's what we're tuning into right now. Let's make up our minds for ourselves.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices.
Now, one thing we can say that we know is that she did know Jeffrey Epstein. She knew him. So she's just flat out lying right here, saying that she didn't even know the man. There's no crime in knowing someone. I honestly don't understand why she's denying even knowing him, because there's tons of evidence that they did know each other, even if they were just acquaintances. But to flat out deny it, it leads me to believe she's just going to have that deny everything, nothing happened. That's basically going to be her mantra throughout this entire day in court.
So it's on the record numerous times.
An hour into her testimony, it went off the rails. A photo of Hillary was leaked from inside. All hell broke loose, and Crooked's team stormed out.
The hearing just went off the record for a moment because it seems, as some of you may have seen, that there were some photographs shared on social media, which is against chamber rules that were read at the top of the meeting. So the hearing has been paused briefly while they figure out where the photo came from.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert texted the pic to the press, and Hillary complained it was against the rules.
Benny Johnson is the one that broke that. I've actually been watching some of his stuff lately. He says, the first image of Hillary Clinton testifying under oath about Jeffrey Epstein to the Republican Oversight Committee. This is the first time Hillary has had to answer real questions about Epstein. Clinton does not look happy.
I don't think she liked how she looked.
We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand. and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements.
Hillary made a fuss to chew up clock because she didn't want to be there. She testified that she never met Epstein, even though he'd been to the White House 16 times.
All right. Epstein has been to the White House 16 times, where she spent quite a few years of her own living. It's also worth noting that the source here we're watching, this is Fox News, clearly a very Republican news source. And so they are not like in the same political boat as the Clintons. So you could assume that the version of this story is swayed towards the Republican Party, which is fine. It's just worth noting that that's the stance that we're seeing this come from.
The number of times that she said, "I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband," was more than a dozen, and I'll put it like that.
Maybe they didn't meet, maybe they did, but Bill does a lot of things when Hillary's not looking. But this email's interesting. In the Epstein files, someone emailed the offender, quote, "I know you are close with Hillary, but if she gets the nomination and you vote for her, I'll effing kill you." Did Hillary meet Epstein? Maybe, maybe not. But we do know this.
I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
Epstein.
All right, so yeah, this is the picture I wanted to bring up right here. They knew her casually. Hillary goes on to say, yes, she was at the wedding, but she was there as a +1. Which brings up the question to me is, I want to know who the person was that had Maxwell as a +1. Who is that person, and why was that question not asked? Because that person had to have some close relationship with her to bring her along to a Clinton wedding. I mean, it may have been Epstein himself.
Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine, went to Chelsea Clinton's wedding. When she was asked about this, she ran like the wind.
She came as the +1, the guest of someone who was invited.
Someone who was invited. That's what I'm saying right there. I'd like to know who that someone is. That could give us more context to the story.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
And after that question, turns around and walks away.
We do know who did spend a lot of time with Epstein, Bill Clinton. There's dozens of photos in the files. Here's Bubba and a girl in a hot tub. Hillary says her hubby was just saving lives.
It wasn't a hot tub on a plane. It was one of the stops they made to look at philanthropic and charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives.
I thought that was funny. First of all, in that interview, she talks about there not being a hot tub on a plane. The interviewer asked that he was seen in hot tubs, in pools, and on planes. And I guess Hillary misunderstood the comment and thought that the person was saying that there was a hot tub on a plane, which is why she responded at first like that. But he was doing charitable work, saving thousands of lives. Now, he may have been involved in some charitable work that was saving thousands of lives. But that's not to say things weren't going on in the background as well that were quite illegal.
Around the world. It turned out that was done long before there was any public awareness and certainly any conviction of any crime.
That's another thing that keeps being stated. People are always saying, I knew him before he was convicted. But he was convicted. All the crimes happened before that. So if you knew Epstein, and if you knew Maxwell and were friendly with them and were attending their events, you were attending at the times that the crimes that he was put in prison for were happening. So I don't see that as a response to kind of get yourself out of jail. It doesn't make any sense.
By Jeffrey Epstein. So it was a short period of time that was in pursuit of charitable philanthropic work.
Charitable work. That's a new name for it. Hillary says she's not worried. Bill would never do something inappropriate.
We need to remember, Hillary Clinton was a lawyer, right? And she was often in the defense situation. And during her time as a lawyer, she did quite a few, or I should say at least one that I know of, defense of someone that was a predator and got that predator off while the victim had to live with those scars.
Are you 100% confident that there isn't anything that the former president knows about Epstein's crimes?
I am, and I think the chronology of the connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about Epstein's criminal activities came to light.
I think one thing that surprised the Clintons, they assumed the Democrats on the committee would vote in a partisan manner and not vote to hold the Clintons in contempt. And what they learned was a majority of the Democrats on the committee either voted to hold the Clintons in contempt or voted present.
The Epstein fallout has Clinton and Obama operatives dropping like flies.
All right. It's worth stating here that I think that this is being very much put into a state of division. I think no matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever your beliefs, if you did wrongdoing, you should be tried for your wrongdoing. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. What I'm seeing happen in these videos right here is they're trying to, Fox News right here, or the Republican Party seems to be trying to make this into like the Democrats are bad. There's Democrats and Republicans as part of all of this. This was just a Democrat ex-president's day at the stand, or his wife's, I should say. But I don't want to make all of this Epstein stuff into such a political division. There are bad people that are involved in the Epstein files, and they are from all shapes, all parts of the country as well, all parts of the world. We're not even just talking about people in the US, and I don't like how it's being turned into this Republican versus Democrat story.
Yesterday, Larry Summers had to resign from his position at Harvard. And now it's come out that not only did the Ivy League take $9 million from the perv, they gave him his own office. And Harvard faculty was accepting free flights and business deals from the trafficker. Epstein was giving Larry Summers consulting gigs in places like Mongolia and Kazakhstan. Like we've been saying, it's going global. The head of the World Economic Forum, you know, the guys who tell us to eat insects, Borge Brende, suddenly resigned because of the Epstein files. One of the Rothschilds, you know, the European banking dynasty, all over the Epstein files. And the Swiss bankers, all they're saying so far is they're monitoring the situation. J.B. Pritzker's cousin, Thomas, just resigned from the board of Hyatt Hotels. J.B.'s like, I only see my cousin on holidays.
A cousin of yours has been in the news with regards to the Epstein files, Thomas Pritzker. He just recently resigned from the board of the Hyatt company.
Look, I've said from the beginning that anyone that's done something wrong needs to be held accountable, and I really mean anyone. Now, I'm not close to my cousin, but I can tell you that it's very important that people be held to pay the price for.
At this point, I agree with what he's saying. Anyone, no matter political belief, who you are, if you've done wrong, you should be held accountable. But does he keep saying that, or does he change? Let's see.
Whatever it is that they may have done.
There are millions.
Looks like he's stuck with that, which is actually good to see.
Of documents in the Epstein files, and we're just starting to go through them. Everyone's on edge, even Epstein's own brother.
I didn't see him for 7 years before he died, although we were always in communication with phones and emails. So I didn't know what he was up to. A lot of the stuff that's come out is surprising to me. I wasn't aware of a lot of this stuff. And I'm going to say, like, with him, even though he's my brother, that was his problem. And now that he's dead, it's not his problem anymore. So, again, unfortunately, I really don't care, to be honest.
I really don't care. That's actually brutal to say. First of all, I think Mark Epstein here is lying, that he didn't know something about what was going on with his brother, unless if they had zero relationship, which they didn't have zero relationship. Saying that he really doesn't care is insulting to all the people that this impacts.
With you, I'm just concerned that my brother, whoever and whatever he was murdered.
So he just cares about his brother being murdered, not the suicide, or if he's even still alive.
That's my concern.
But you care about the victims, I presume, of your brother.
These are the questions I don't get into.
Boom. These are the questions I don't get into. Just asked by Pierce if he cares about the victims. And Mark couldn't even say, yes, I have sympathy for the victims. A very simple response. He couldn't answer that. He doesn't get into it. That's crazy.
Have a good day.
The Telegraph also reports that Epstein paid private detectives to remove items from his Florida property ahead of a police raid. They hid it in a secret storage locker, which contained 3 computers, videotapes, slave manuals, and illicit photographs. A Palm Beach lockup contained 29 address books, a 3-page list of masseuses, and tons of. The Palm Beach police chief said Epstein's home had been cleaned up and certain computer material was missing, including surveillance equipment. We also found out last night that the DOJ had labeled Epstein's as a murder in some documents. There were also questions about the noose.
Yeah, this is crazy. I saw this last night regarding the noose. Can there actually be truth to this? Can what you're about to see actually have been as sloppy as he's about to say?
The forensic pathologist who was hired by Jeffrey Epstein's brother to observe the autopsy said that there was no blood on the noose, even though there's blood on Jeffrey Epstein's neck in the photographs. We're learning from the documents that the guard who cut Jeffrey Epstein down says he's not sure which noose was given to the investigators, and DNA testing was done. It may have been on the wrong ligature. It may have.
How many nooses are hanging around? How many nooses were made for a man to hang himself? Who makes 2 nooses?
Been done on the wrong noose.
Plus, there was something off about the head count in the prison that night. A new video shows a strange orange figure flashing by the corner of a surveillance camera the night before Epstein died.
Yeah, basically what they're getting into here is that there was somebody inside of there that shouldn't have been inside of there that very much may have had something to do with either the escape of, the murder of, or something to do with Epstein's loss of life, apparently. And as we have stated, people are going down and things are happening regarding the Epstein files. You know, Prince Andrew was arrested, Ambassador Peter was arrested, Bill and Hillary Clinton are being grilled under oath, Bill Gates cancels events and confesses. This is definitely going somewhere, and we're going to see a lot more happening, especially with Bill Clinton taking the stand today. To stay up to date, make sure you subscribe and check out this video because it's been exposing this stuff for years.